what method?
Method of Kiso, I use
Yeah,
We have started, it's working now.
Yeah.
They told me, but
That's interesting.
I'm not the designer.
Oh, right. That's wonderful.
So they need for difference.
We've started.
Difference equation.
Right, good.
So we've started, I think it started, yeah.
It's working.
I think
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
right.
so
you can start.
Also,
Yeah.
okay.
Michael Bim.
So what I will explain is, first, it's not my work at all. Explain the relation with my work, it's mainly problems. And second, that will be rather informal because I have not looked at some details of the paper, and that work anyway of Umemura and Saito is just the beginning. It's just simple example of general machinery they try to develop. So the starting point of all that is there are mainly two starting points. First is the Umemura version of the nonlinear differential calculus theory, and the second is a theory made by some Japanese people, which is the use of Hopf algebra for Picard-Vecchio theory. And probably you have seen the test paper. The aim of this paper is to have unified theory of differential and difference equation, to eliminate hypothesis that the field is algebraically closed, and maybe to do something characteristic P. But that I have not looked at that. And it's Heydrich was I don't know if he's ready student
It's working
anymore, but Heydrich had the idea to generalize the point of view of Umemura and introducing at least some formal of algebras. And Umemura after that and Saito realized that one could have really quantized of algebras, not only usual of algebras which are commutative and not non-co-commutative, but are both non-commutative and non-co-commutative. So I will try to explain a little bit of that general business as much as I understand. And I will begin by the more classical nonlinear differential Galois theory. Where I will explain the point of view of Umemura and the relation with my own point of view. I will explain all that in a special case. So I will speak in the geometric terms, which means variety, etc. But it's birational. So instead of working with the variety, you can speak with the fields of rational function and just with fields. So it's one language or the other, essentially equivalent. I prefer to speak geometric terms, but it's just a personal preference. It's not important. So you take, I will take C as this. X is a
Forward to the
of C, which I suppose irreducible, smooth. And in fact, I will work birationally, which means for me that I can replace freely X by open Zariski-Dense set. So that means that I can suppose that I map X onto some X tilde, which is finite coloring, non-ramified, and X tilde is a Zariski open set in Cn x tilde equal Cn minus z Haber surface. Because if I have any x, I can suppose by restricting x to a Zariski open set to have that situation. I cannot expect that x is a subset of Cn, but it's a finite covering of Cn minus z. From the point of view of vector fields, jets, etc., this means that practically you can identify x with x tilde, because the vector fields are essentially the same. Basis all vectors in x tilde extend to x in a unique way. So the jets are the same. That means if you have partial differential equations, terms of order 0 are slightly different, but higher order derivative, the jets are the same, because you take a jet on x, it's jet on x tilde. So practically, in the example I will just look at that case, and to have the general case, you have to just to take finite covering, an ramified covering, which changes nothing. So we will take psi vector field over x. So x now, x is a Zariski open set in Cn, not any kind, but affine variety, so Cn minus hypersurface. So psi in coordinates can be written sigma ai of x dxi, where the I are regular function on x which is contained in the rational function in Cn, or the rational function x equals rational function Cn. And we want to make differential Galois theory, nonlinear differential Galois theory, for that vector field. So it's not the most general case. Most general case, you will have several vector fields, commutings, etc. But we just do with one vector field. So if you prefer algebraic language, you mean just that you take a field and a derivation of that field, and you suppose that the constant contains C. It essentially makes no difference. The only one difference is that in that case, it will be finitely generated over C. But this changes essentially nothing. And you want to have Galois theory. Differential Galois theory on that. So the point of view of Umemura is to start what he calls the universal Taylor map. Universal Taylor map is that everybody in differential geometry calls the exponential of psi. Oh. Same thing. So I write exponential t of psi, which Umemura calls I of psi, applied to f. F is any rational function in x, is sigma t power k over k factorial, k positive, psi k of f. Psi f is of course the derivation. So you can, if you work in terms of derivation in Euler or in terms of vector fields, it's the same. You write derivation instead of psi. You write delta instead of psi. So he calls that universal Taylor map. And so it's a map going from C of x, which I will call K once for all, into formal power series C of x of 2 of t. K of 2, K of t. And so this is just a formal integration of your vector field, of course. It's just a formal integration of your vector field. You don't take the real integration, just formal integration. And he has another map This is the same, of course, this is the same as taking the flow, formally, the flow, solving the differential equation. Solving the differential equation, for instance, if you take f one of the coordinates, you get the transformation of that coordinate by the flow, by integrating your differential equation. So it's just the usual procedure, but just formal. And so it's we call formal flow. And so in particular, you apply that to xi. J coordinates equal hj bar, which are function of t. It means that if you start from t equals 0 with condition xj equal xn, then what you get at the time t, formal time t, is h bar j of t. And so the idea of Umemura basically is the following, is to write...
Sorry, what does that say there? It says I, what is...
I of coordinate x.
means that this means just, this is the formula I have here. I xi, you're right, I xi of t. I xi of hj is hj bar of t. That means you take...
What is I?
It's the
I is
map.
that operation.
Yeah.
I is the exponent. What he call I use this notation, but if you don't like, you think it's just the exponential.
Right.
So, hj bar of t is the value of the j coordinate at the time t, when at the time 0 is hj.
Yes.
Just the usual integration. And of course, the point of view of Umemura is to write, point of view of Umemura, problem, write the equation satisfied by hj bar of t in terms of the fg. Not in terms of t. In terms of t, we know the equation. It's a given equation by our vector fields. But we want to write the equation satisfied by the solution at the time t, independently of t, in terms of the initial condition. For instance, if the volume is preserved, you will write that the Jacobian matrix is constant. Jacobian matrix is constant, etc. If the flow preserves a symplectic form, you will write that the symplectic form on x bar at the time t is the same as the symplectic form at the initial time, etc., etc. If one function is constant, that means that you have a first integral, or in terms of standard Galois-Perrier, constant, that means the function is constant, etc. But you are interested only to constant, you are interested to constant also for the derivative equation satisfied. So,
Is this decidable?
no,
No.
probably not. It's probably not decidable because I will explain why it's more or less equivalent to my point of view. My point of view is to find a pseudo group with that. But the problem is basically to find this equation. You first have the equation of order 0, that means the first integral, that means the constant. So the first problem would be to find the constant. And the answer is unknown, and it's probably negative. That given vector field, you cannot find the first integrals. Even in two variables. The problem is open even in two variables. So a lot of work since Poincaré to try to find the first integrals, which is very close to the problem to find algebraic solutions.
Is it for particular equations or it is?
That's for general nonlinear equations. So probably, I believe that one should prove that it's not possible to have an algorithm.
But for each particular equation, is it?
Of course, for linear equation you can.
But for other particular equations?
For some special equation you can. For some special equation you can. But for general equation, you have no algorithm to find. It's a basic problem. It's a basic problem. And if you can find first integral, you can, by prolongation, argument of prolongation, you prolongate your vector field to some frame bundle, you will find constant, depending on the finite number of derivatives, and finally you would have all the constants. So in principle, the problem is not completely, but more or less reduced to the problem to find the first integral or constant. But this problem is open, and in my opinion, it's probably negative. It's probably like the Hilbert problem, the find integral intersolution of Diophantine equations.
Also, we know generically there aren't any first integers. So
In general, there are no first
Yeah,
integral.
yeah.
In general, there are no first integral, of course. But
if you do have them, that doesn't
in general,
say you
there
can't
is
find
no first integral.
Yeah.
So, but people in number theory continue to study the Diophantine equation, even with know that the problem has no solution. So,
Yeah.
so it's not
No reason to stop.
no reason to stop. In a sense, it's more interesting. Of course, in linear case, you can do. Because in linear case, you have much stronger results by special case was by Singer. And a Frenchman, and general by Rouchov-Stigat. You can find the differential Galois, the Picard-Vessier group. You can find Picard-Vessier group. And but this similar in nonlinear. So problem to write the equation satisfied by xi bar in terms of the xi. So formally, Oumemua does like that. How will say that? Yes, you have one map. I, K, K of T. K, I recall it's a rational function of X. And you have another map which is obvious. Take F goes to F. That means you take the power series, which all the terms are different, are zero, except the first one, which is the identity. That means you take the constant solution, initial equation, correspond to vector field zero, corresponding. So you have both maps. On the other hand, the derivation d, the xi, act on k, obvious way. Therefore, they act also on k of t. So, the way where write the equation satisfied by xi of t in terms of the xi means solve this problem means to consider the differential with respect to d1, dn, ddxi, dy, the differential subfield of T of t generated by I and epsilon of k. If you translate in formal terms my problem, write the equation of the xi in terms of xi, you consider the differential subfield of subring, maybe subring, of k of t generated by both phase objects. So that's the definition of Umemura of the what he called the Galois hull of my vector field. It's a differential subring of k of t generated by both, by the initial condition and the flow.
Did you state that in terms of lead derivatives of the original vector field?
It's not. The lead derivative is the first term you
That's true, yeah. You in all terms. That'd be-
So, and so what is that? So you can convince yourself that that gives the theoretical solution of your problem. That's write the equation is equivalent to write that. But of course, this is not explicit. It's just another way.
Yeah, I agree.
And now there is a problem. What kind of subring do we get? What kind of subring do we get? The subring is generated in K of t, you have two maps. You have epsilon of k. So on this subvariety, how to say, you will find it's, how to explain that clearly. suppose you omit the derivative, first step. Suppose you omit the derivative. You would have the two map and you take all those subrings of K of t generated and you take the subring generated by both. And both are fields, so you will have something, you will have a map of K, tensor K, onto I of K epsilon T contain this map will be surjective, but in general will not be injective. So you will have a kernel.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the kernel? So one can prove, it's not written exactly in the literature, that the kernel is exactly what you need, that you find that the exact result is the following. The image is isomorphic to K tensor K over L, where L is the field of constants. Field of constants. Constants means the function which are annihilated by my vector field. Constant or first integral is the same thing. Field of constant. You can prove that. This is not a completely obvious result. It needs a theorem of Kolchin, which has been reproved also by Bialynski-Birula. Theorem of linear disjunction of extension in differential geometry.
Mm-hmm.
So to prove that exactly what you get exactly as a quotient here is just that you need that.
So what's the theorem? Can you state the theorem?
Theorem, yes, I will state the theorem. We state the theorem. It's I have not seen in Kolchin, but in Bialynski-Birula there is a very simple proof. It's just the first lemma in the paper of Bialynski-Birula on normal extensions, strongly normal extensions.
And it's in Kolchin's first book,
Okay.
And
DAAG.
the statement is
toward the beginning.
A differential ring, K of A, then constant CA, constant of A,
Mm-hmm.
and K are linearly disjoint
That's right. Very useful.
on CK.
Yeah.
With that result, you prove very easily.
Oh, okay.
I keep forgetting.
You
Yeah.
prove very easily
Constants,
that.
they're constants, even though they're first integrals. That's, of course.
So, but what happens? What happens for higher derivatives?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
So this is neglecting derivatives. Right.
You have your ring M in K of T, which is generated by I of K k and epsilon of k. So at order 0 you will get, so I will translate in geometrical terms if you like. At k corresponds to certain variety, which is x. At my M, c'est differential ring corresponding to some space Y, I would say. Y, it's, one can verify that, and so, if you have no derivative, you are in K over L K, so it would be contained in X cross X. Y is not contained in X cross X, but at order 0 it contained in order cross. But if you consider the derivative, it will be contained not in X cross X, but in Z,
Yeah. So
J
M is
infinity.
differential ring generated by.
J, pardon?
Yeah.
So M is the differential ring generated by.
Yes,
Differential
yes,
output
yes.
generated by.
So generated by this,
Yeah.
so it will be contained
Okay,
in G
yeah.
infinity of X cross X instead of X cross X. And the part of order 0 will be contained in X cross X, and it will be just the things which are constant, on which the constant are.
So why is spec of M, or was it?
Pardon?
What is Y?
Y is a variety,
Spec of M.
c'est spec of M.
Okay.
And now we think to my point of view. My point of view is that I take in J infinity star of X cross X, which means invertible maps, J's of infinite order, J of X, and it will take what I call the envelope of vector fields, which means the smallest pseudo group,
Yeah.
generate Rose-Lie algebra contains
It contains
X.
it.
So the point would be to prove that the construction of Umemura gives that pseudo group, which connect both points of view.
Yeah.
Construction of Umemura, which intuitively is very natural because the flow has the property of groupoid. To go from T1 to T2, you can go to T1 to T3, contained between T1 and T2, and then T3 to T2, which is property of groupoid. So, if you take the Zariski closure, you expect that you have that property of groupoid. But there is no obvious proof. So, the point would be to prove that the construction of Umemura gives the same result as mine. And now, it's not written in the literature, but the argument I gave you before prove that it's true at order 0.
Yeah.
It's true at order 0. But you see, the argument is not completely trivial because you need that result of Kolchin and Bialynski-Birula. And probably, but it's
That's a
not
natural
written,
result. That's
you can extend the argument by taking some prolongation. You will replace your space H by some Fred bundle, you will extend the vector field to Fred bundle, apply the same argument, and prove that Fred bundle of order k, prove that the result is true at order k, but you do for all k. So probably the result is true, the point of view of Umemura and mine are equivalent. But I should say, Umemura said it's obvious, he wrote it out. It's obvious.
He said what?
It's obvious, but he did not prove it. And
No help.
he did not write the proof. I did not write the proof, but the proof should be written. I think it should be very difficult, but
Well, it's obvious.
no, it's not obvious.
So what's the exact statement of the equivalence, or what do you? Yeah.
Equivalence of both point of view, that this variety is precisely the same as the one you get
Right,
by my
yes.
procedure.
Okay.
Find the smallest groupoid.
So it comes out.
In other words, this procedure gives a groupoid, which is natural again. Of course, intuitively it's obvious because flow is a groupoid, therefore if you take statistic closure, that should be a groupoid. But it's not written down, or anyway, discussed with Casal. Casal as a student writing this,
Yes, yes.
looking at this thing, so probably that will be written by the student of
Yes,
Casal.
yes. We're poor.
So now
You got me
we
started on
admit
Casal.
we admit that. That's the first point. First point. So now we are in standards.
It's back, yeah.
But the point is that relationship between two points of view.
Yeah.
It's spec, but not it's not diff spec. It's prime ideals, but not differential prime ideals.
Yes,
For Y, just prime.
differential.
Or differential primes?
It's
Or prime?
differential ideal. I don't know. Yes, primes. I think
Differential
so.
primes.
Yes, probably.
Would it be
Yes,
the Colchin topology, or would it be
probably.
or one of those, or would it be what
Probably,
Pillay
yes.
uses?
Probably yes. Yes, but.
So one should just think
If you
about
have my
what it
point of
should
view,
be.
you see, at any order K, it's irreducible variety because it's smallest to the group. So it's a connected component of the identity.
Yeah, but you're not going to infinity. Oh, you are. You're not going to infinity. You're just.
Yes, you do at each
You do.
order K.
Oh,
It's
so
sufficient to
you are.
prove at each order K that you have a groupoid.
But then you'd use spec. Or
Yes,
you'd
and
use
then-
there'd be algebraic objects. At
Yes,
K.
yes, at each order K.
But what about when you get to the end?
There is no problem because you have the prolongation are
What
obvious
sort of thing do you get?
to
Do you get a differential variety in the sense of
you have a differential
differential
ideal.
scheme?
But when you go from order K to order K plus 1, you have the obvious property that the ideal is a prolongation.
Yeah, then you will. Yeah.
Then you will do.
Yeah.
There are no.
Yeah, it's diff
I think there is no problem to go to infinity. The problem is to prove at each order K.
Each of
And
Okay.
as we have the result at order 0, we expect by
Right.
standard argument of prolongation do at order K. But you have to be a little bit careful because.
Yeah. Do you-
Because there is a little bit careful because you at order 0 you can pass to the fields, but at order K you cannot. You have a field on the basis, but you have affine space over a field
Right.
with not a field.
Oh, I find so.
So you have to be a little bit careful if you want to write down correctly the proof.
So you're starting with a smooth algebraic variety?
Yes,
Ah, okay.
yes.
Yeah, then probably. is.
Yes, but I can suppose it's smooth since I
You just
can
remove
replace by
singularities.
yes.
Yeah.
But you have to prove when you work at order K that you can remove only singularity in the basis.
Yeah.
So
The base
that means
space.
you have affine space over
Right.
the basis.
Right.
So there is some point you cannot just say it's obvious because at order 1 is
No.
place. So
No.
you extend order K, you say the same. You have a small trouble to write down properly things. But I think there is not very serious problem. So, but if you anyway, we admit that both theories are equivalent. Anyway, they are in all the examples.
Yeah.
But that should be written. But now I want to look at another case, which is relation with the linear Galois theory. Linear Galois theory, you have a situation which is a priori a little bit different. Speaker ratio theory. You have x and psi like that, and you write E vector space over x. And you have suppose that on E you have psi connection, that means you have an extension of psi which is linear in the fibers. Suppose E is trivial because you can suppose, no, it's not true what he said. You can, when you restrict to a Zariski concept, you cannot suppose it fortunately that the vector fields are Zariski trivial. They are trivial for étal topology, but not Zariski.
Yep, that's the problem.
That's a big problem. That's a big problem
I don't know
because,
how to even think about it.
and but it's a problem which comes in Colchin by the fact that the Galois theory cannot always realize Galois differential equation cannot be realized always by an equation whose coefficients are in the Lie algebra of the Galois group.
Unless,
It's, you have to take an extension of your field to do that.
you do?
Yes, of course. You have a differential.
Oh, you mean defined over constants and not
Yes.
defined? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
you have
the
to.
group is extended from the
Yeah.
Galois group. Right.
Yes,
Right,
you have
yes.
to take a.
Yeah, a bigger differential field
Yes,
in,
yes,
in Colchin's.
yes, yes. And
way of
that's
thinking.
exactly equivalent to that property that
I never thought of it that
So
way.
explain in my own notes at the EHS.
So what was the question and what was the answer?
Yes. No, but not important. I will suppose for simplicity that E is trivial. So,
Yeah.
But it sounded like it was interesting,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
No, the terminology is what.
you have a linear equation psi f equals AF, F.
We can't even stay local.
F1, P, and A is a matrix.
Ah, okay.
A is a matrix, P cross P matrix with coefficients in X.
Okay.
And so you have a differential equation like that, which is a standard equation of different linear Galois theory. So you are not exactly in the situation I had before.
No.
But you have an extended vector field, extended. Vector fields, which is C in the basis, and C is extended by linear maps, which are given by the A. So you have an extension of the vector fields, which is linear in the fibers. So you can make the nonlinear Galois theory, the Umemura theory, if you like, on that psi tilde. And now in the equation you will keep only the linear equation in the fiber. And then it's not very difficult to prove that you can recuperate the classical theory, at least when there are no first integral.
Right, no new constants.
No new constant.
Right.
If you have no new constant,
Right.
you have no problem.
Yes, I was just.
You have no problem. If you have some problems which are explained in my notes,
Yeah. Which notes are these?
it's my notes in IHS on sur le groupe de Lie and
Oh, yeah, but yes.
there's a big note, I have more
Yes,
than
yes,
100
yes, yes.
pages. It's in the first chapter of my notes. The things are explained. So it's just, it's not very important. It's just a recreation. We said that we do non-linear Galois theory, so we have to connect with the Galois theory, and linear Galois theory, differential Galois theory, of course.
Yeah.
So you have to verify that this is related to more classical objects. But another point is that now, if we want to do difference equation, so 3 is difference equation. So you have x and you have u, a map from x into x, a birational map. birational map. So I should write point, arrow. I should write like that to say that it's not really a map, but it's just a birational map. And you will do a similar theory as vector fields. So you will do a differential Galois theory. So again, there is a point of view of Umemura, which is, he calls universal Euler map. So if you write the U star, the corresponding map from C of x to C of x, it's a map obtained by composition. And it's I of f equal collection U star n. U star and f, so it's contained in
This is a sequence or what is it?
sequence. It's the sequence. The sequence. So here it's not in K of T. It's not in K of T, but it's K to the power n.
Why is this Kn?
K C of x.
K C of x.
No, the power u raised to a star. This is star. Okay.
U star, U star,
Thank you.
U star.
U star. If you prefer, I can change the notation to have U instead of U star, but the other I will call U star.
U star. U star.
The collection, here now you go into K to the power n and not into K of T, in not formal power series. And if U is invertible, you will have something in K of Z if you like. But you don't need in the general theory to suppose U is invertible. General nonlinear theory. And again, what that universal Taylor map, it has exactly the same definition, a theory analogous to the theory for vector fields. And probably, I have the look, what would be, that would be equivalent, and that in that case that would be easier to prove that the point of view of pseudogroup is equivalent. That means smallest pseudogroup which contains U.
Right.
Smallest pseudogroup which contains U. Pseudogroup on X in the jets of infinite order, invertible of X to X contain. So you have exactly similar theory in that case. And so up to now there is no quantized proof, but they will come now. But otherwise, if I started with a quantized group, we do not understand what happens.
So U doesn't have to be inversive in the difference algebra sense. Inversive.
So the question now is, welcome to twisted vector fields. What I will call if I will use a slightly different notation of the preceding one. If I had U S cross X and U star C of X into C of X, I will write sigma equal U star, because it will be the basic ingredient and I don't want to have a star all the time with me. So it's the map, sigma, which I have to consider. And I will call twisted vector field a map psi equals A times sigma minus sigma identity A in C of X, which is always Q. Why I call that a twisted vector field? Because it's, if sigma is identity plus epsilon, sigma is infinity close to identity, this is exactly a vector field. C'est sigma you multi. So, of course, you can have more general, you could have some sum with some different kind of sigma. But I will just take that special case. And the subject which has interested several people, especially Yves André. What? So the first question you can ask is, what means integrate a twisted vector field? I think I have no idea, and I don't even think that it's a very good question. So you can ask a second question, which is in principle simpler. If you cannot integrate, maybe you can even do Galois theory. So, but now they see immediately that if in all the extension you will consider in the Galois theory, you will keep that formula, then the theory of the Galois theory of that vector field will contain nothing more than the Galois theory of sigma itself. So, what to do? So, there is a remark that there's sigma and psi have a very interesting property. Sigma of Fg equals sigma F, sigma of G, that's obvious, that's an automorphism. And psi of Fg has a property, precisely why it's a twist, I call twisted derivative, because it has a property close to derivative, to a derivative, but twisted. Sigma of F then psi of G plus psi of Fg. That incidentally, I could have the same formula if I permute F and G, because my product is commutative. But I will keep that form. So, the idea is the idea of Heydrich. We will look at some extension. We will try to look at the Galois theory by keeping only this property and not that. So we forget this, and we keep only test properties. It's the idea of Heydrich. Of course, you can suppose that it's very artificial, but we'll see why not. You will keep this property, and you will try to make a differential Galois theory in that situation. So, second idea of Heydrich, we will say that in terms of formal Hopf algebras. Hopf algebras of formal Hopf algebras, something bi-algebras, in terms of bi-algebras. So, the remark that the case of vector fields I look at the beginning, case of vector fields I look at the beginning, could be do in the following way. I consider my vector fields psi usual vector fields, and I take formally C of psi, field of polynomials in psi, and my Leibniz formula C. Sigma KL psi L of F psi K minus L of G. So you have Leibniz formula. So I will introduce, wait, this is just for vector fields usual.
Yeah.
So I will introduce a coproduct C of psi.
Operators.
This is just a standard.
Is that's a standard, the twisted vector.
It's just a standard line.
Oh, no, I don't mean that. I mean this whole idea.
C of
Is that
psi.
one of Legros operators?
I will introduce the coproduct, which is given by that formula. So I will write delta of psi equals psi tensorial 1 plus 1 tensorial psi. And now delta, of course, of ck equals sigma kl ck tensorial
It's different.
L C K minus 1 L. So with this property, this is a morphism of algebras. This is a morphism of algebras,
Yes.
and this morphism has the nice property that if you have K not to K, Kc of X, it's an obvious map I define just for psi tensor F, psi of F. This map has a good multiplicative property. I don't know how we call that map. I will call that map, I don't know.
Rho.
Lambda. You are lambda. Lambda is also a map. How this map, the multiplicative property of lambda is connected with the coproduct of C of psi by the following lambda of
Psi eta times
phi fj equals you take lambda of delta phi f tensor j, and you take mu, where mu is a multiplication k tensor k to k. So lambda phi fg equals mu is a multiplication k to k. You you take delta phi is in C of psi to C of psi, you act on F tensor